I love a baked potato. So today I'm going to be trying some dinner ideas, very creative dinner ideas, I might add, that feature baked potatoes. And I had to do it. I just couldn't stay away. We're bringing back stuffed spuds. This book was published in 1982, and I did a video with this book last year, about the same time. It was almost a full year ago, maybe a little more than a year ago. And I came up with 3 recipes the first time that were really fun to make. Hopefully these next 3 are going to be just as fun and interesting. But in order to have baked potatoes for dinner, first you need to bake a potato. For that, I'm going to show you the method that I use, but I'm going to take a trip back in time to last year's video and just kind of show you that footage again, just so you can see what it is that I do. If you do something different, do it your way. I've tried a lot of different methods for baking potatoes over the years. Growing up, we always wrapped them in foil and baked them in the oven. I've also tried making them in the slow cooker, and I've heard of people making baked potatoes in the air fryer. So this is just the method I personally like to use. And as always, if there's something that you like to do and it's the best way for you to do it, please do it that way. I'm not claiming that mine is the biggest or the best. It is the best for me specifically. So do what you like. We got 2 potatoes here. They're kind of like on the larger side, but not those jumbo ones that you can sometimes get in restaurants. These are just kind of a nice size. What I do, of course, after scrubbing them clean is I like to prick them with a fork just all over. And these are just russet potatoes. I don't think I said that. I just bought a bag of potatoes. Sometimes if I want like a nicer looking potato or it's for a nicer meal I'm making at home, I will buy those individual russet potato bakers. If I can't find a bag that has some nice sized potatoes specifically for baking, I think that's pretty good. So we'll set that aside. Now I have a bowl. Put a little oil in the bowl. You don't need much. I'm gonna add just a little bit more. Just vegetable oil is fine. I like to do this with one hand, so I have like one non-messy hand. I am gonna roll the potatoes in the oil just to get a thin coating. Pardon me while I wash my hands. Clean hands. Now here's where I wanna highlight a kitchen tool that I feel is completely overlooked. And that is a pan or a tray that you do not care about. I do wash it. I have given up trying to scrape all of this away. It has lots of dents and stuff, but I don't cook on this, okay? It's more of a drip tray. I feel like you should always have something like this to use for a purpose where maybe you're not gonna cook on it. But what I'm gonna do with it is I'm gonna put it in the bottom of my oven, like in the rack underneath the potatoes, because you're gonna get drippage the way that I do this. So we're gonna head on over to the oven. As you can see, I have preheated my oven to 400 degrees. I find that this is the temperature that works best for me. And now I'm gonna take this little drip tray and I'm gonna put it in the oven underneath where my potatoes are gonna go. Oh, by the way, I have a baking steel in there that I just keep in there all the time. And now I'm gonna put my potatoes in the oven. I like to bake potatoes of that size for about an hour. Typically, I do like to check them about halfway through though. So I'll set my timer for 30 minutes, take a look at them, probably flip them over while wearing my oven glove, and then let them bake the rest of the way. The first stuffed spud that I'm going to be working on is a BLT stuffed spud. I love saying stuffed spud, by the way. A BLT is probably one of my favorite, if not my favorite sandwich. It's a tie. It's a tie between a BLT and a turkey club, which are very similar, except one has turkey. I've never thought of applying this to a baked potato. Since I'm such a BLT fanatic though, I thought this is the one I have to do. I even mentioned this particular recipe in the last stuffed spuds video that I did last year. So I've got my potato here. It's cool enough for me to handle, but it's still pretty warm. And you know, just uses to that method that I like to use to bake potatoes. And I'm gonna cut it in half like this. This is not what the author says to do, but that's what I like to do. So the author wants you to cut like a thin slice off the top so you maintain the roundness, the ovalness of the potato. I tend to do it this way because it's just easier for what I'm doing. Remove the pulp from the potato, being careful not to tear the shells. Got a bowl, got my potatoes, let's go. Now I have 2 empty potato halves. I'm gonna set those aside because we're gonna focus on the filling, which is really interesting. It's actually pretty quick and easy compared to some of the other recipes in this book that are a little bit more involved. This is basically like mash the things in the potato and go. Combine the potato with mayonnaise. A little bit of mayonnaise. I think this is like a tablespoon or 2. Use your favorite. At first I was a little skeptical about the mayonnaise, but then I was like, If you make potato salad, you combine potatoes and mayonnaise. Add the crumbled bacon, tomato, and lettuce. Okay, I think I'm gonna put the lettuce on top. I don't love the thought of like having it in, I don't know. Also, I wanna reheat half of this potato. I have to try a lot of potatoes this week. So I am gonna add my crumbled bacon. This is a couple of strips of bacon that I cooked until they were crisp and then I crumbled them up. I have just like a small tomato that I seeded and diced. I did season this with a little salt. I like to season my tomatoes, especially when it's not tomato season. So what I think I'm gonna do is use that lettuce as like a garnish, you know, to go on top. Kind of an unusual looking bowl of mashed potatoes. I'm gonna take this and put it in there. And now for the pièce de résistance, some shredded lettuce. This is just green leaf lettuce. Now that's really something. It's time to taste. Now this recipe, you probably want to prep your ingredients like I did because you want your potato to be warm. You're not gonna like rewarm this at all like the other recipes I'm doing. I don't think this is gonna be bad, but I think it's gonna be unusual. I gotta make sure I get a full bite here, right? It's interesting. Yeah. It tastes good. It's just an interesting sensation because I'm used to having like these things on toast basically. The potato is very creamy with the mayonnaise. You don't really notice that it's mayonnaise, quite frankly. The tomato is nice and tangy, gives it like, you know, a little zing. Salty bacon. And then you have some nice crunchy lettuce on top. I like it, but I'm like a little puzzled by it, I think. If you have all these things, but you don't have bread, like let's say you forgot bread or you're out of bread, maybe just try your BLT and a baked potato. Next up, I'm testing out a recipe for a chicken tarragon stuffed spud. Now that sounds high class. Chicken tarragon stuffed spud. Oh, I just love these creative combinations. I have my baked potato here, bake it however you want. And I started by toasting up some walnuts. I'm cutting the recipe in half as I did for the other potato. So this is a couple of tablespoons of chopped walnuts. In the recipe, it says to do this in an oven. What does it say? 350 for 8 to 10 minutes. I personally like to toast nuts on the stovetop. It's a little bit faster, but you do have to keep a very sharp eye on it because they can burn quickly. Just take a little skillet and heat it over medium heat. And then I added my chopped walnuts. Try to get them in a single layer because, you know, if they're all piled in one spot, just those walnuts on the bottom are gonna get toasted. And you wanna stir this pretty frequently, keep them moving a little bit. This could take anywhere from 3 minutes to 5 minutes to toast them. It just depends on your stovetop. But when you start to smell them, take them off. Take them off. And they might darken a little bit in color too. Oh, my walnuts are over here. I was like, where did I put them? Yes, not on my ingredient tray. Let's start assembling this potato. I'm gonna do the same thing I did for the BLT baked potato. I prefer cutting this in half over like cutting the thin slice off the top. Do what you want. I'm not here to tell you what to do with your potatoes. Got my favorite spoon to do this. And I have a little bowl at the ready to collect the potato flesh. Have my potato shells all prepped. I'm gonna set them aside. Bring back my bowl of potato innards. Add the mayonnaise, sour cream, salt, and tarragon. A couple tablespoons of mayonnaise. Again, cutting the recipe in half. Full recipe will be in the description down below. A 1/4 cup of sour cream. I just love the idea of a baked potato as a main part of your meal, especially when it is chilly outside. You know, the oven's all warm, you got a hot baked potato for dinner. Sounds pretty great. 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And then I have 1/2 teaspoon of dried tarragon. It says to crush this in a mortar and pestle. I didn't want to get out my mortar and pestle for just like this small amount of tarragon, so I did just like crush it with my fingers a little bit. I think it's okay. I'm just gonna kind of mash that together. The potato is very soft. You're gonna add quite a few delicious things to the potato flesh and then put it back in there and bake it. All right, we're just gonna switch over to a spatula. Add the chicken and the toasted walnuts, reserving enough of the walnuts to sprinkle over the top for garnish. I will remember to do this. I tend to forget when it comes to cheese, like that I'm supposed to save some of the cheese, but I won't forget with the walnuts, we'll see. I have half a cup of chopped cooked chicken. This is dark meat chicken. I roasted some leg quarters last week for dinner, and I did a couple of extra just to pull the chicken like off the bone to use for other things. Toasted walnuts, do not use all of them. I'm saying it out loud so I don't forget. I kept a little bit. There's my mixture. It's ready to go back inside my potato shells. I'm also gonna bring out, you know what, let's bring my little casserole dish up. My little 1 quart cornflour blue, very popular design from Corningware. Yeah, there's a lot of mixture. Okay, these are ready for the oven, so I have to bake these at 350 degrees for 15 minutes. My fancy potato just got out of the oven, and now I just need to sprinkle some of these walnuts on top as a garnish before I give it a taste. Time to give this extra fancy potato a try. Okay, wow, I almost dumped that off onto the counter. Just visually looking at this, I kind of want the top to have a little more color. Like maybe I would sprinkle some tarragon on the top, you know, just to give it some like green. But we'll see, it does smell pretty dang good. Cut this in half. That's very good. The mayonnaise and the sour cream like make it very tangy. The walnuts especially make it like very texturally interesting too. Great combination. I think I just wanted to have like a little bit more color. So maybe some herbs on the top. Taste-wise, I really enjoy this. I feel like this would be kind of a fun luncheon, you know, have a few friends over, give them a fancy baked potato. So I'm working on this ham quiche spud. I personally have not thought of making quiche in a potato. Here we are though. So I have my baked potato here on my cutting board, just cool enough for me to handle. You know, this is a nice sized baked potato. Scoop the potato flesh into a bowl. And now I have a thin layer of potato in each one of my halves. You want to leave a little bit in there. Now I actually have to prep a few more things over on the stove. As you can see, I'm melting some butter in a skillet. And this is going to be the beginnings of our potato quiche filling. I need to add some onions to that. It said regular onions. I have green onions. I like green onions. That's what I'm doing. Only 1 tablespoon of butter because I am cutting the recipe in half. Doesn't need long because green onions are pretty soft. But to that I am adding some sour cream. This is 1/4 of a cup. It's almost like we're gonna make some fancy scrambled eggs. This isn't exactly how I thought this recipe was gonna go. I'm gonna mix that, and next I need to add a lightly beaten egg. Now I need to add the potato flesh back in. Oh, and I forgot my salt and pepper, so I have a little salt and pepper, just a pinch of each. And I'm gonna kind of smush that together with my spatula. Now I did mash this potato flesh a little bit before I added it to the skillet, but I didn't make it completely smooth like mashed potatoes. And if this mixture seems a little loose to you, it's okay, because I am going to put this back in the shells and I'm gonna bake it. So the egg will, you know, solidify a little bit more. Okay, I'm actually gonna cut the heat before I add my diced ham. That was a 1/4 cup of ham. And I have some Swiss cheese that I've cut into very tiny cubes, specifically stated cubes, so that's what I did. And now I need to just mix this in. You don't really need to like totally melt the cheese. That's why I cut the heat. I had to move the camera and I accidentally got some mashed potato on my tripod. Heap the mixture into the potato shells. I guess I could put this in my casserole dish. We'll do that. We'll do that. This is like a twice baked potato with extra pizzazz. Ooh, yeah. Okay, these are gonna be hefty. I feel like we added a lot of things to that potato flesh. Oh, these are gonna be so good. Yeah. Now I have to bake these at 350 degrees. It says for 45 minutes. I am absolutely thrilled with how this turned out. Look at how lovely and brown this got on top. Beautiful. and smells incredible. My kitchen smells so good right now. I mean, this is basically like a twice baked potato with a little bit of a twist to it. You know, usually a twice baked potato, you're thinking sour cream, cheese, and bacon. And this is ham, sour cream, and a different kind of cheese, Swiss cheese. And then, you know, your egg, whatever. I'm gonna cut this in half. Oh boy, it's still very hot, but it looks very good. Let's try it. That's so interesting. Okay, hold on. Great flavor. Taste the Swiss cheese, like right off the bat, Swiss cheese and ham. The texture is so interesting. It has the potato texture. You know, you mix that egg in there. So it's like a little bit of a soft scrambled egg texture once you put the filling back in the half of the potato and then bake it. That's when it like cooks the rest of the way. So, okay, I like this a lot. It is pretty unusual, I would say. Ham and Swiss and egg, delightful. Stuffed Spuds was written in 1982 by Jeannie Jones, and it proclaims 100 meals in a potato. Now, I decided to bring this book back out, not just because I absolutely love baked potatoes, and I think they do make a really good like main part of your meal. I also purchased a bag, a 10-pound bag of potatoes for $3.99 at Aldi recently. This time of year, you tend to see potatoes on sale because we're getting ready for some pretty potato-heavy holidays. In the United States, Thanksgiving and Christmas, we tend to consume a lot of mashed potatoes. Now, the way that I see the recipes in this book are standalone dishes. Like, take a standalone dish that has nothing to do with a potato and apply it to a baked potato. The BLT baked potato, you know, the ham and cheese quiche baked potato. There are a lot of recipes in this book that are kind of like that, where Jeannie Jones seemed to try and take a dish and apply it to a baked potato. I'm not mad about it. Potato Primavera Spud, like that one. So like, think pasta primavera, sauce with lots of vegetables in it. Usually it is served over pasta, but how about if you serve it over a baked potato? Great idea, I think. Or the Tex-Mex chili spud. Sure, you can take Tex-Mex chili and just have it as is, but what if you put it over a baked potato? Put everything over a baked potato. I have mentioned in past videos that there was a school lunch that I had growing up, and it was baked potato day, and you had a choice between broccoli and cheese or taco meat. And then there was a sort of like a quieter third option that was just butter. If you didn't like either of those things, maybe as a kid, if you were a little bit of a selective eater, butter was kind of the thing. I was a broccoli cheese person. You know, I don't know, something about taco meat just seemed a little wild for me. But the really wild combination was when, you know, there was a kid who chose broccoli cheese and taco meat at the same time. I didn't understand it back then, but I think I do now. I think I get it. This book not only offers a lot of recipes and ideas for baked potatoes, it also includes a lot of recipes for things that you might want to go with your baked potatoes, like when you're making these recipes. So stocks and dressings. There's a white sauce recipe in here. I didn't use it in this video, but I used it in last year's video. I mean, I know how to make a white sauce pretty much from memory, but if you don't, they do have one in here. Hollandaise, even how to make mayonnaise. I used store-bought mayonnaise. I have made mayonnaise before though. It's not just, you know, get yourself a baked potato and put things on top of it. It's like, here are some of the building blocks of a good baked potato. And she also offers like a different method in here for baking potatoes. I showed you how I do it. That's kind of like typical for me. I've been doing it that way for years. You also got to see a cameo appearance by my old oven. I kind of forgot about that. We got a different oven not too long after that video was filmed last year. So if it looks different, that is why. And there is a photograph of the author, Jeannie Jones. Oh, I didn't see this. There's even a little sampling. Like if you are on the fence about buying this book and you don't want to open it up for some reason, there's a little sampling of the stuffed spuds recipes that appear inside. But I knew I wanted to buy this book pretty much the second I saw it. I picked this up at Half Price Books last year. Unfortunately, we do not have any photographs. We do not have any illustrations other than the illustration on the front of the book and then Jeannie Jones's photograph inside the jacket. I do remember, especially when I was growing up, there used to be more potato-based restaurants, you know, like baked potato mall restaurants or whatever, or kiosks. I feel like those things, they kind of like come in and then they fade away. Here, at least in the US, I know it's different elsewhere. And actually not too far from me, we did have a baked potato restaurant that opened up, but it closed really fast. So, you know, I'm not sure what happened there, but now I can make all of my favorite stuffed spuds at home, I guess. This book also features a couple of sweet baked potatoes, not sweet potatoes, but just like regular baked potatoes with sweet ingredients. So we've got the banana and peanut butter snack spud. I guess if you do a little one, a snack spud. Oh, there's a peanut butter and jelly. These are really brave. Maybe I'll save a couple of these for my next potato video. It just didn't happen this time. I was going for more of a savory thing. So out of the 100 meals in a potato, I have tried 6 of them so far. So let's talk about the recipes I made today. I started with a BLT baked potato. I didn't dislike this, but it was unusual. I will be honest about that. I don't know. I'm not really sure how to describe it. It tasted good, but it's not a combination that I would think to put in. I mean, most of these are not combinations I would think to put in a potato, but especially this one for some reason. I feel like I wouldn't make this one again unless I just had only these ingredients and I needed to do something with them. But if someone else made it for me, I wouldn't be like, I'm not going to eat that either, because it's just bacon, lettuce, and tomato in a baked potato. It's pretty harmless. And I think I'm so used to tasting those flavors on toast or bread as a sandwich that I thought, you know, the potato element to it was a little different, like a little bit different. Also having the lettuce on top of the potato, I think that was the right choice. I don't particularly like to think of hot lettuce, unless it's like a wilted lettuce salad. That's kind of different. This is like putting shredded lettuce into potato, mashed potato. I don't know. So while this one tasted okay to me, it tasted fine, I don't think I'm gonna make it again. Not that it was bad. I don't know. I'm having a lot of trouble even like articulating what I mean by this. If you want to try this one, by all means, definitely do it. There's nothing bad about it. It's just kind of strange. My second recipe was the chicken tarragon stuffed spud. And when I was looking into this book and trying to choose recipes for this video, I was like, this one just seems kind of elevated, kind of fancy, you know? I don't know why. I think it's the tarragon, but you know, immediately after I sampled this one on camera, I thought, oh, this is like chicken salad. I don't know why I didn't say that at the time, but it's kind of like a chicken salad. It's mayonnaise and sour cream and cooked chicken and herbs, little salt and pepper. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much chicken salad, minus the celery. There was no celery in this, thank goodness. So I really liked this one. The sour cream and the mayonnaise made it just like a little tangy in a good way, I think I would season it up just a little bit more. I think if you're familiar with the Green Goddess seasoning from Trader Joe's, I've mentioned it here on my channel before. It's like one of my favorite seasoning blends that they sell. I think that would be really good on this. I wanted it to have a little bit more color, you know? I think fresh herbs or even just some dried herbs sprinkled on the top would have probably helped it in that regard. The walnuts were nice though. I think the walnuts also added a really nice textural element to the soft potato mixture. And my third recipe was a ham quiche spud. Yet another dish that I have never thought of as applicable to a baked potato, but it really worked. I think out of the 3, this was my favorite. The chicken tarragon was probably a pretty close second, but this one really tasted good. I mean, it was like a loaded baked potato, just with a little bit of a difference. What I liked most about it was the texture of the filling. Something about mixing the egg in there with the sour cream and the potato, like it just made it for a really pleasant texture to me. And then the flavor combination of everything was particularly nice. So all 3 of these potatoes I ended up cutting in half and like, you know, eating half of it and then saving the rest for later in the refrigerator. This ham quiche potato I actually had for breakfast. I reheated it in the microwave for a minute and a half. It was kind of the perfect breakfast. I mean, you eat potatoes for breakfast. It made sense to me and it really worked. So I don't know, is this weird? I think you could almost prep some of these and have them for breakfast. If you wanted like a quick breakfast, make a few. They were great in the microwave, like just reheated. It kind of worked really well that way. It didn't take very long. It was a very tasty breakfast. So I'm pretty sure that I am not done with this book yet. I will probably try more of the potatoes in the future, but I hope this video gave you a few new and interesting and possibly creative ideas for your next dinner menu. Do you love cookbooks and recipes from the 1980s? I have an entire playlist, and I'll link it in the description down below. I'd like to say a special thank you to my Patreon supporters. If you'd like to join us over there, I'll have a link in the description so that you can do that. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, share it with a friend, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I post videos about food, vintage cookbooks, and retro recipes every week. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.